Welcome back to the morning show. Now, last week, Julius Malema, the EFF leader, said he would scrap borders should his party become government. Now, he's not the only one who has spoken about the need for South Africa to open the border for people, particularly Africans. President Cyril Ramaphosa also suggested this last year during the African Continental Free Trade Summit. But the question remains, is having open borders the answer for Africa's economy? And to help us answer this question, we're joined by political analyst Phumlani Majozi. Phumlani, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So the EFF leader made this statement during an interview with the CBS, and
yes,
he
702,
he seems to say that it's the colonizers that imposed these borders on us, and maybe there is historical origins to that ideology. But have these borders really impacted negatively on us as Africans?
It's not going to work. And I think Malema is politicking. I just think it's nonsense what he's saying. It's not going to work because of vast economic differences between our countries. And we are very much different people. When you look at the GDP per capita, which is not a good measure, but it does give an idea of the economic standing of a country to an extent. We have countries like Mozambique that are at plus minus $500 per capita. And then you have a country like Zimbabwe, just above $1,000. And then look at South Africa, which is it's plus minus $7,000. So the differences are quite vast. This means that if you create a society where there are no borders, it means that there is no country, and everybody will flock into South Africa, right? And the question is, how are we going to manage that when people come here to fight over the limited resources that we have?
And we'll talk about the strain that it also puts, this influx of migrants that it puts on our state services. But the argument is, you could create regional bodies that will perhaps look at how we structure from our different economies and structure sort of one economy and have sort of one currency as well. Look at what's happening in the US. They've got like 50 states or so and under one America. And it seems to be working. They're different, they've got different laws, but it seems to be working. So why can't we try it?
Well, here's the thing though. One could argue that look at Europe, where it is right now. One of the reasons why Britain wants to leave, they've chosen to leave the European Union, is because they feel people there, they haven't really, the borders haven't been, they don't have control of their borders. And also the issue of one currency that has been raised before. I think the former leader of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, who died in 2011, raised the issue of the United States of Africa with one currency and so on. But in Europe as well, it's difficult because you don't have, they only have a currency union in Europe. They don't have that fiscal sort of union they could put in place. So as a result, we have one currency, we have one central bank controlling different countries that have different needs from a labor productivity point of view, and they don't have a fiscal union. So Italy can spend as much as they want. Different countries can just play around with how much they spend without really having a fiscal union. So it doesn't work. It's not going to
What do you make of an argument that having these borders also contributes to how divided we are as Africans? Because every time there's xenophobic violence and people are unhappy about, and I won't say foreign nationals because xenophobic violence speaks directly to Afrophobia, and the attacks are on our fellow African brothers and sisters.
Yeah, which is very sad,
What do you make then of that argument that it's these borders that are created that sort of make us feel like we are beyond these borders, we are our own, and therefore we don't see the people in the next door as also part of us?
We could have some form of cooperation closely with our fellow
Which we already
countries.
have.
Yes, but I don't think it's close enough in terms of trying to address the challenges that we face, right? Instead of having this borderless Africa that people are talking about, or at least Malema is talking about. Because what we are going to have is that we are going to have people, everybody will come to South Africa, as I'm just saying, and there will be already be some sort of a fight over the limited resources that we have.
That's the case.
And already that's the case with the xenophobic attacks, right? So I once said that one of the ways, in many cases, I do, as much as I blame people for intolerance on our fellow Africans when it comes to xenophobic attacks. But I've also said that when you look at our government over the past 25 years of democracy, they have very much failed to ensure that South Africa sort of limits, because it already has plus minus 9 million people who are unemployed, right? And this is mostly unskilled people. And you have people coming in to fight over the limited resources, and people already there's a perception that people who are not from South Africa are taking jobs. We are going to exacerbate that. We are going to make it worse. Rather create a society society where there's a close partnership with all these countries. Let's try and help Zimbabweans address the problems that they have instead of allowing them having the millions that we saw over the past 15 years in Zimbabwe flocking into South Africa.
And we already have a problem with our borders now in trying to manage the influx of migrants to come into the country, particularly when it comes to illegal migrants. But here's a solution that the EFF leader also proposed, that maybe, and this is when he was addressing the issue of these foreign nationals putting a strain on our public health system.
Say we send them a bill.
Say they've sent them a bill. How practical is that?
But we're going to suppose those people ran from there because there's no money, right? There's no healthcare system. There's no tax base. They don't have that. We do have that in South Africa. So we are sending a bill to who is the question. Who's going to pay for that? Those countries can't afford that. They're not going to pay for it. So I just think it's politicking, and it's not something that would work, at least Africa at this point in time. I don't think it's something that is feasible. The vast economic differences, they are quite massive. It's not even working in developed countries, even like Europe. You see the rise of populism in Germany, in many countries. Hungary, one could argue as well, simply because people see this resentment, right? And we are trying to exacerbate it the moment you try and open the borders to, especially in a country, in a continent that is so challenged in terms of poverty. You are going to cause serious problems. We don't need that at this point. We need other sort of serious policies in place to try and address these challenges. But having a borderless Africa, it's just not going to work.
All right, look, thank you so much for your time. Phumlani Majozi is a political analyst speaking to us about that idea that has been spoken about, particularly by the EFF, in advocating for opening borders in South Africa. We'll be back after this.